Keeper Wren had read the marks of children for 60 years. He had read lords and orphans, the gifted and the doomed, and he had learned the one thing the houses never wanted the keeper to learn, that a mark does not tell you what a child is worth. It only tells you what they will be used for. He had kept one secret all those 60 years, the oldest secret on the island. The reason an old man's hands shook when a boy with a soot-black ring pressed his wrist to the glass. And now, because of that boy, Wren was about to break his silence. He knew it would cost him his life. He had made his peace with that. He was only afraid he would die before he finished the sentence. The note came to Kai the way Wren came, through the window, weighted with a small stone. 2 lines, in a shaking old hand. The reading hall, the 3rd hour. Come alone or do not come. There are things I can say only once, and only to you. You're not going alone, Wren said flatly. He said, alone. He's a frightened old man who could die of fright before he tells you anything useful. And you'll walk into the one open room on the island the night after you set the whole place on its ear. Wren was already pulling her grey hood up. I'll be in the gallery where no one looks. You won't see me. That's the entire point of me. She paused at the window. Kai, after the circle, half this island wants you dead and the other half wants to own you. A summons in the dark is exactly how both of those start. Go. But go knowing it might be a hook with you for bait. It wasn't. But Wren was right to fear it, because someone else had read the same note over Wren's shoulder in the way that House Sale read everything. And the trap was already closing. Only it was not closing on Kai. The reading hall was vast and black and empty, the floating candles dim to embers, and the great dark pane of the reading glass stood at the far end like a held breath. Wren waited beside it, smaller than Kai remembered, an old man alone in an enormous dark. You opened the door, Wren said. It wasn't a question. I felt the old wards die. We all did, the few of us old enough to know what they were. He looked at Kai with those frightened, gentle eyes. So you've seen it. The hall. The banner. The word. Ash, Kai said. My house. Your house. Wren lowered himself onto the edge of the platform, the way he had on the floor of the Hall of Account, an old man making himself a tired child. Let me tell it quickly, boy, because I do not think I have long, and you must have it whole. There were 8 houses once. 7, you know. The 8th was Ash, the unmakers. The others made things. Built, bound, healed, hid. Ash unmade. They could take a thing apart down to nothing. A wall, a weapon, a spell, a wound. They were not evil. They were the most needed house of all. You cannot remake a broken world without first unmaking the broken parts. We unmake, that we may remake. That was their faith. Then what happened? Kai whispered. What always happens to the most powerful and the least understood, Wren said. The other 7 grew afraid. A house that can unmake a wall can unmake a throne. A house that can dissolve a wound can dissolve a heart. So one night, 300 years ago, the 7 did together what no house could do alone. They fell on the 8th and they unmade the unmakers, every man, woman and child of House Ash. And they grew the rock over the door, and they struck the number 8 from every song and stone on the island, and they swore their children to one secret duty across all the generations. He looked up. Watch for the day an ash mark appears again, and end it before it learns its name. And you knew, Kai said, the first night, when the glass went dark. I knew, Wren said. The glass goes dark for Ash, because your magic eats the very light it reads by. I have known what you were since the moment your wrist touched the glass." He reached out and, very gently, closed his old hand over Kai's marked wrist. And I said nothing. 60 years the keeper of their terrible secret, and the first time it mattered, I chose the child over the houses. He smiled, frightened and free. It is the only brave thing I have ever done. I find I don't regret it. "That was touching," said a voice from the dark. Kai was on his feet at once. Lord Sale stepped out from behind the reading glass, unhurried, white and silver, flanked by 2 of his house. He had been there the whole time. Of course he had been there the whole time. "Don't trouble yourself, boy," Sale said. "The trap was never for you. I want you very much alive for a few hours yet." He looked down at Wren with something almost like sorrow. "It's the keeper I came for. 60 years a loyal servant of the 7. And at the very end he sits in the dark and hands our oldest secret to the very thing we made him to guard against." He shook his head. "I truly am sorry, Wren. You were the best of the keepers. That is precisely why you cannot be allowed to speak again." "Run, boy," Wren said quietly, not taking his eyes off Sale. "You have it now. You have it whole. That's all that." Kai did not run. He reached for the cold instead, reached for the black ring, ready to unmake whatever Sale's people threw. And found he could not. A band of gold flared around his wrist, an anchor binding, thrown from the gallery shadows by someone in Varn blue. His magic stopped in his throat like a swallowed stone. "Hold," said Commander Thrace, stepping down from the dark with her scarred brow and her iron-grey hair. Her binding held Kai fast. "Nobody unmakes anything in my hall tonight?" She looked between Sale and the boy and the old keeper, hard as a closed gate. "I came for the same reason you did, Sale. Word travels. I simply came to make sure that whatever happens here happens slowly enough for me to decide whether I like it." For a moment the reading hall held its breath. The bound boy, the old keeper, and 2 of the most powerful people on the island facing each other, across him like wolves over a single kill. "Give me the keeper," Sale said. "He has broken the founding oath. That is mine to judge, by the law." "Take the keeper," Thrace said, "and I'll allow it. The law is the law." The old man knew the price. "But the boy is mine." She tightened the gold binding until Kai gasped. "You want him dead, Sale. I've known it since the first night. And I have decided I want him drilled, trained and pointed. A weapon that can unmake a sail shield." She let the sentence hang. "Think, Sale. For 3 centuries we feared this power because our enemies might have it. What if we have it instead? What if the 8th house doesn't have to be ended? What if it can be owned?" "No," said Sale very softly. "You have never understood, Thrace. The Ash were not feared because they were strong. Everyone here is strong. They were feared because they cannot be owned." He looked at Kai, bound and helpless, and listening to 2 lords barter over his life as though he were a horse. You can chain his hands. You cannot chain what he is. Sooner or later, he unmakes the chain. That is the whole nature of the thing. A weapon you cannot finally control is not a weapon. It is a fuse. Wren moved while they argued. The old keeper, forgotten between the 2 crowns, rose with the last strength in his old body and did the only thing left to him. He threw himself not at Sale, not at the guards, but at the reading glass. At the great dark pane and the deep mechanism beneath it that Kai did not yet understand. Wren struck it with all his frail weight, crying out a single word. The mechanism. Don't let him. It reads by force. Break it, boy. Break the... A guard's strike took the old man before he finished. He fell. The reading glass rang like a struck bell, but did not break. And in the ringing confusion, Thrace's binding wavered for half a heartbeat. Half a heartbeat was enough. Kai unmade the gold. The binding dissolved into dark dust. Kai did not strike at anyone. He ran, because Wren's grey hand was suddenly on his collar, hauling him toward the gallery dark, and because the last thing the old keeper had spent his life to give him was the chance to get away with the truth. They did not stop until they were 3 corridors deep in the unwatched dark, both of them shaking. He's dead, Kai said. Wren. He's dead, because he told me. He chose it, Wren said, gripping his shoulders hard. Don't you dare waste it. She was crying too, which Kai had never seen. He gave you the whole truth and a way out, and one more thing. Did you hear him at the end? It reads by force. Break the mechanism. Kai, Sale isn't planning to kill you in your sleep. He's going to put you on that glass and read you by force. And whatever that does, the Keeper spent his last breath telling you to break the thing before it can be done. She wiped her face roughly. Which means we have a little time. Until Sale's ready. And we are going to spend it finding out exactly what that machine does to a boy who eats magic before he straps you to it. Far behind them, in the ringing dark of the reading hall, Lord Sale knelt by the body of the Keeper he had genuinely admired, and felt the last of his patience go cold and quiet and final. No more bartering, no more law, no more slow. It ends at the dark of the next moon, he said to no one. On the glass. By force. That was Sigil and Ash, Episode 6, What the Keeper Remembers. The story continues in Episode 7, The Weight of a Name. Subscribe to follow Kai's story.